host of the Gridiron.
But one interesting thing, right? I mean, with the Titans, the GM, right? He's talking about, and I can't see any way humanly possible. I mean, just stuff I hear, right? He's talking about, we're not going to pass up on a generational talent, right? In the draft. I mean, it was kind of the same thing with, I hate saying it, hate open up some wounds, but that was kind of like what Gettleman's, he was kind of, when you pick a guy at number 2, you envision somebody wearing a gold jacket one day. And, well, I'll tell you what, if Saquon Barkley was on the Eagles, but 7 seasons now, Saquon would have well over 10,000 yards rushing, and he'd be well on his way to a gold jacket. I can tell you that. Fortunately, the Giants drafted him, and, he still might. I mean, hey, if he plays another 3 years, 3, 4, who knows, right? But playing behind that Eagle offensive line, I mean, I don't know if he's going to continue to get 2,000 yards a season, but I mean, right, if he plays another 3, 4, 5 years, who knows, right? We'll have to wait and see. But with the Titans, now the tricky thing is here. Okay, did the Titan GM, does he open up? I mean, meaning like, well, okay, well, the Browns are going to draft a quarterback. Giants are going to draft a quarterback. So if we move back to number 3, we can still get our player. Or, is he saying that we're not going to pass on a generational talent? I mean, I have a hard time believing he's talking about either one of these quarterbacks. But hey, who knows? Who knows? Anything's possible, right? But if he's not talking about Ward or Sanders, he must be talking about Hunter, I think, or maybe Carter. Right. So so is he just going to stay put at 1 and we're getting our guy, and then they can battle it out for everything else? We don't care. We got our guy at number 1. We're not trading. We're not, So it's all a little bit of a gamble. All a little bit of a gamble. Let's see. Here we go. The Titans inviting a trade back from the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. Will the Giants move up for a franchise quarterback? Interesting. The Tennessee Titans don't sound like they are set on drafting a generational talent. Don't sound like they are set on drafting a generational talent with the number 1 pick. They sound like they prefer to trade out. Titans president of football operations, Chad Brinker, is getting a lot of attention for saying on Wednesday that if there's a generation talent available at number 1 pick, you don't pass that up. As he first said on a particular show. But the focus should be on what Brinker called his ideal roster building scenario to acquire more picks. Which is true. Ideal, if we could map it out perfectly, you'd really want about 30 picks over 3 years, and 12 of those need to come in the top 100, Brinker said. That means that the Titans are open for business, and that means the Giants may be only one Joe Shane phone call away from trading up to number 1 overall to select New York's choice of Miami, Cam Ward, or Shedeur Sanders. Would that be wise? Now we're going to talk a little bit about this more later on in our program here this evening. Okay. Titans desperately need a quarterback themselves, so Brinker and new GM Mike Morganzi, I guess, would rather trade back than take Ward or Sanders. That speaks volumes about their evaluation of the passer that the Giants would be charging up to take. Hint, hint, hint. Yeah, I mean, so you got to figure. I mean, if one of these guys is, if these guys are actually talking about or thinking about, trading out of the number one. They got their pick of any quarterback in the NFL draft, right? They're talking about trading out. Right? That might tell you all they need to know about what they kind of think about what the quarterback situation is here, right? It only takes one team to have conviction on a player, which is true, to draft them, though. The Giants don't have a single quarterback under contract, although Tommy Chicken Cutler Parmesan, if the Giants were to tender him an offer, give him an offer or something like that, he has to take it. He can't shop it around or anything. He's like, what is it, restricted free agent, I believe it is. Yeah, so he has to, if the Giants offer him something, he has to take it. And Joe Shane was also talking about that too, meaning at the end of the season, he said Tommy's the only one under contract for next year, so which isn't really true. They have to offer him a contract. But I mean, as of right now, I don't think they have any quarterbacks under contract next season. Let's see. To be clear, the Titans sent strong signals they do not intend to take a quarterback at number one. Brinker said of incumbent Will Levis, he's going to get an opportunity to compete for a starting job next year. That's not happening with a number one overall pick in the building. True. No evaluator of this NFL draft considers Ward or Sanders a generational talent. Let's see. Either. So that description of the player the Titans would stay and take does not include them. Might apply to their minds to Colorado corner receiver Travis Hunter or Penn State edge rusher Abdul Carter, but that's a stretch too. Yeah, there's no. Hunter is, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's a somebody that it's like, I don't know, to me, like an unbelievable knocking out of the park player in his draft. There's some very good ones, don't get me wrong. But. So Wednesday's Titans media tour basically served as an invitation from Nashville to the rest of the NFL to call Borgonzi's phone about the number one overall pick. The new GM even joked that he'd already received some soft overtures. I think I got some feelers, he said with a laugh at his introductory press conference. Yeah, some congratulatory texts, but yeah, keep in touch. Still, Shane might not have to make the trade up to number one overall for a quarterback he wants based on the limited competition at the top of his draft, which is true. I mean, once again, that's the beauty of the draft. You just don't know, right? I mean, whatever. Titans take Hunter, number one. Browns, they're like, these quarterbacks blow. Just saying, right? We're taking Carter, number two. Number three, the Giants are like, oh my God, we can have either quarterback if we want them. But you just don't know. One of these other teams could trade up. There's quite a few quarterback needy teams right behind the Giants that could trade up. Right? I mean, you saw how the draft went last year. Oh my God. I mean, quarterbacks were going wild, right? Weren't they? Hot off the press. I mean, how many? I forgot how many were it? 6 or 7 in the first round. Whew, wow. And actually, I'll tell you what, well, we don't know about McCarthy or whatever, but I'll tell you what, some of them look pretty doggone impressive. But well, we obviously we couldn't. The first three were the Bears were locked in, right? We weren't budging. The Patriots weren't budging, right? And the Commanders, right? Those first three, you didn't have a snowball's rear end in hell of getting any one of those picks, right? Yeah, so we did knock it out of the park with neighbors, though, right? We got here. Cleveland Browns at number 2, the Raiders at number 6, and the Saints at number 9 stand out as the only obvious threats, though. So, a couple teams right behind the Giants. Seattle Seahawks seem like they're too far back at number 18. That's a lot of capital, boy. You'd have to be trading up. That's a lot. And to trade up from 18 to 1 for one of these guys, I mean, if we're talking John Elway, Peyton Manning, or something like that, you do it. You got to give away whatever, your next 4 number 1s and your 4 number 2s or whatever. For John Elway or a Luck or Peyton Manning or something like that, yeah, you do it. But not these guys. The Browns and Giants also know that the Titans don't appear to be picking a quarterback, so the only concern is losing the opportunity to take their preferred quarterback to another more aggressive team. The Browns are like, oh, cool. Hey, man, it's, it is what it is, right? Right? The Browns are like, oh, cool. We're going to get our choice of quarterbacks. They're not taking a quarterback. Cool. So draft night rolls around. The Raiders call up. Boom. Trade with the Titans. They jump up. They got number 1. The Titans move back. They draft Sanders. And the Browns are like, oh, man, we really wanted Sanders. We're not too sure about Ward, though. Right? It is what it is, right? If you see your guy, I'll tell you what, if you're the Browns, right, if you had that much of a conviction on whatever, Ward, move up to 1 spot. It ain't going to cost you a whole heck of a lot of beans, right, to move up 1 spot, right? Move up to 1 spot. The Titans will move back to number 2, still get anybody they want, and they'll get an extra pick. Might be another 3rd-round pick or something like that. Right? So the Panthers traded up with the Bears in 2023 from pick number 9 to number 1 to take Bryce Young. They gave Chicago a haul, 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and DJ Moore. Whew. The Rams sold the farm to the Titans in 2016 and moved from 15 to 1 to take Jared Goff. 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and 2 third-round picks. Whew. Before that, a trade to number 1 overall hadn't happened since 2001. That was the year that the Falcons moved up from 5 to 1 to take Michael Vick. Nice choice. Then he gave San Diego Chargers their first-round pick, a 2002 second round, and a 2001 third rounder. Giants will move up to from number 3 to number 1. The cost obviously would not be what the Panthers gave the Bears to move up 8 spots in 2023, but it also would not be as cheap as the Falcons trade up for the Vic, trade up from Vic. There's an opportunity cost associated with the team giving up the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. And if the Giants were bidding against another team like the Browns, Raiders, or Saints, there would be a cost to win that competition and give Brinker, Borgonzi, and the Titans something sufficient. Shane also would have the advantage, though, of letting Tennessee slide down only 2 slots to number 3 rather than plummeting down the draft board. So that could be an advantage for the Giants in sealing a deal. Working with the Titans seems like it would be a little bit unorthodox based on Wednesday's strange press conference when Brinker wouldn't even let Borgonzi sit sit by him. Wow. Brinker wouldn't even give a straight answer when asked twice if he had the power to overrule Borgonzi on the team's number 1 overall pick. So Tennessee, it seems, has its own problems. Well, still, that's not the Giants' problem. Their problem is at quarterback, and their job is twofold. Yes, it is. Excuse me. First, they have to decide if any of these quarterbacks is worth the number 3 overall pick. Once again, we're going to talk about that a little bit later in the program here. Let alone the number 1 overall pick. You take a number 1 overall pick, the guy's got to be a number 1 overall pick. He's got to be, he might be the number 1 quarterback. No. Because then you're reaching. It causes a lot of problems. Giants have the same problem as Tennessee. They don't just need a quarterback. They need a ton of talent upgrades throughout the rest of their roster, too. Maybe signing a veteran quarterback using a mid-round pick on a rookie quarterback and strengthening the roster around their quarterbacks is the first round. In the first round is a better bet in their eyes. Second, the Giants' job is to listen to what Brinker had to say on Wednesday about wanting to accrue more draft picks, an idea he doubled down during a sit-down with reporters. As far as that number one pick, you can't pass up on a generational talent. We won't do that, Brinker said. But we also have to look at all the options available to us there as well, because we want to build this team for the long term. I mentioned this before. If I can map this out perfectly, I'd love to have 30 picks over the next 3 years, and 12 of those picks come in the top 100. That would be ideal. That's how you flip your roster. That's how you get youth on your roster. The Titans football czar added that it would be nice to find Jaden Daniels as Washington did. Just doesn't happen that often. No, it doesn't. Giants are on that avenue now. It's time to see if Shane acts. So, I mean, once again, Jaden Daniels they just don't fall off the trees. It is what it is. So, it's going to be very, very interesting. As I said, we're going to talk a little bit later about quarterbacks in the program here. But I mean, if the Giants want to move up to number one, they can. Just, I don't know. Just don't know. It's going to be interesting. So we got about 3 months of the draft. It's amazing. 3 months of the draft. And we got about not even 2 months to free agency. How freaking crazy is that? Not even 2 months to free agency. Unbelievable.